So, guys, I do want to talk about AEW tonight, and I do want to say that this show had a bunch of ups and downs, and I also just wanted to just talk about, just how I feel about the show. And it opens with like a 1 hour match between Will Osprey and MJF, and I felt that this match had a bunch of strengths and weaknesses. I do like the epicness of the match. It was a really great sequence. They started with it being really 50-50. They started like dodging each other's moves, then they transitioned into submissions, they transitioned into fighting in the audience, and then they transitioned and doing some table spots, and then they transitioned into a bunch of 2 counts and finishers. Like, definitely, it really crescendoed, but I did feel that the match went on way too long, and I'm actually very happy that they got the title off of Will Osprey. And I'm also very happy that this did not end in, okay, they went 60 minutes, nothing happens really. Because if you do that, it feels like you're just wasting time. And then also, if you want to set up Daniel Garcia versus MJF, you have to have it so MJF has the title and then Daniel Garcia takes it away, because now you proved you're going up against a scumbag wrestler, a wrestler that can have great matches, and a former AEW champion. Like, honestly, if Daniel Garcia beats MJF and puts on a hell of a match, does a hell of a lot of training to overcome the MJF obstacle, he will be a new star. So definitely you have all that out there, and if this was the way to get to that, then it's good, because obviously AEW needs new stars. You can't just don't be like TNA wrestling. But I did feel that the match went on way too long. I really wish this was a 30-minute match. And then, because, like, honestly, Will Ospreay should not be on the show next week, or he should not be on the show for a couple weeks, or at least just have him do a couple of matches, or don't even have him do any match like this until Wembley Stadium. Because, again, the problem is that if you have too many matches like this, they don't feel special. And then, as I said, that the other issue is that a Will Ospreay match is just a bunch of epic stuff, a bunch of video game type of wrestling. Like, again, you hit someone with a pile driver, 15 minutes into a match, you hit him, like 20 minutes later, you hit him with 4 pile drivers. And now, the last like 60 minutes, they're going at it like nothing happened really. So there's definitely, as Jeff said, and this is true, that there will be a point where it doesn't, or it just becomes the same old shit really, or it becomes, no selling. So definitely, if you're going to overdo these things, do not just over rely on this. And then the rest of the show had to be really rushed. I'm happy that they did a 5-minute overage, because, sometimes when you have things like this happen, what's going to happen usually is that they're going to like make everything like an overage. They're going to like make it a 30-minute overage, and then that's bad because it shows they don't manage their time well. But the other thing is too is that they announced that the Acclaimed and Darby Allin are all in the Blood and Guts match, so it's gonna be really cool to see what they do next week. I was not happy with Darby Allin coming down from the Raptors. I know that's a reference to Sting, but I would really have him do a flamethrower or something more intimidating. You're seeing all these security guards and the Elite all just kind of like, be all huddled together, like, what's Darby gonna do? And he's coming down from the Raptors. Easily, if someone's coming down from the Raptors and they're not a big guy, wouldn't they be like, okay, you know what, this is not so intimidating, we're going to actually fight our opponents right now. So yeah, it just looked a little corny. I know it's a reference to Sting, but the other thing about it is, and then the other thing that happened tonight was there was Nala Rose versus Mercedes Moné. It was a little bit of a bad match because obviously, Nala Rose had to be a jobber when she shouldn't be in that role. Like, she's too good for that. So I think you're kind of going to make Mercedes Moné a heel like that. You're going to have her face a lot of wrestlers that should be a bigger deal, like Stephanie Vakir. And then the last thing that I'll say is you had Mariah May come out, and then she talked about kind of being, just going from wanting to be Toni Storm to just, wanting to be the champion and everything like that, really, So it felt a little, like, cluttered. It didn't really captivate me at all, really. They could have done something like, I'm stealing your spotlight. You never took this seriously. The women's division is a joke, and I want to create a revolution. I want to be the women's revolution in AEW. Like, there could have been they're doing something like a psychological thriller, whereas Mariah May, does she think she's Tony Storm? Is she Mariah May and all that stuff? I don't like that. They have to get away from this cinema type of thing that they're doing. It's kind of run its course. Okada versus Swerve. There's nothing memorable about that because I got interrupted. The thing that I didn't like about tonight was they announced that it's going to be Bullet Club Gold versus the Patriarch at on Collision next week. No, on Collision this week. Isn't next week Battle of the Belts? Wouldn't this actually sell out your Battle of the Belts show and make it a big deal? Instead of having Battle of the Belts where you always do stuff like just have a bunch of title matches and then have very, very little like people becoming champions. So definitely they should have just waited another week for this at the Battle of the Belt show. If people don't know, then Collision this week is regular. They have Blood and Guts on Wednesday. Friday is Death Before Dishonor. Saturday is AEW Collision Battle of the Belts. So, they have a big week in Texas. I did feel like, the build for Blood and Guts was definitely half-baked this week. There's no build to Death Before Dishonor. There's no build to AEW Battle for the Belts, really. So this show was definitely a clunker. I know some people may get lost in the little Osprey and MJF match. It was definitely great. It was definitely something that goes down in AEW history, not in wrestling history. But it was definitely, as I said, the right result happened, which is you have to get the title off of Will Ospreay, and then you have to have Danny Garcia beat MJF for that title at Wembley Stadium to make a new star. And if that does not happen, then this is all for nothing, really. So outside of that, it was that was a really good show. But I also will say that I'm a little happy that with the Blood and Guts promo thing that they did, there was no blood, there was no like craziness, because if you're going to save it for next week, one issue with AEW is that they kind of do a lot of that bloody stuff and craziness this week. This week they fought in the crowd, they did a table spot, and it's good that they stopped it at that, really, because again, you're going to have Blood and Guts, so if you kind of do that 3 weeks in a row, you had Mariah May, bloody Tony Storm. If you did blood and all that stuff this week, and they did it like for your Blood and Guts show, it'd feel like a little too monotonous, really. So I'm happy that they didn't do that. But overall, this show definitely had its strengths and weaknesses. I definitely think that it undersold Blood and Guts. It totally did not sell Death Before Dishonor, and it totally did not sell Battle of the Belts, really. So definitely this was not a good show, in my opinion.